Well, I'll not be alone on today's edition of the show. I have with me Emeka Madunagu, of course, is the publisher Metro Star Newspapers. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon, viewers.
Afternoon. All right, okay, we also have another dashing, let me call them young man. Yes. Well, I also have, two of you look alike though. We have Olusegun Ariyo, yes, he's editor Urban Express News Live. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us on the show. So, Emeka, you found the twin brothers somehow along the line.
We are brothers in the profession.
Brothers in the profession, right?
The long-suffering profession.
All right, okay, let's kickstart today's issue now. As unfortunately we have serious times ahead, and of course the matter of security is trending. Of course, we would know that sometime back in the week, the Ondo State Governor, Akeredolu, had ordered headsmen to vacate the Ondo forest within 7 days, and this is due to lots of kidnappings going on in the state. Now, according to the governor, he attributed it to the fact that these Fulani headsmen were the ones who were contributing to this increased banditry in the forest and of course in the society. Now, the governor gave the ultimatum on Monday while meeting with leaders of the Hausa, Fulani and Ibira communities in the state. Now, he also, as I said earlier on, issued a 7-day ultimatum to the elders. Now, the meeting held at the Cocoa Conference Hall of the governor's office, Alagbaka, Akure, the state capital. Now, he said, and I quote, "Today we have taken major steps at addressing the root cause of kidnapping in particular and other nefarious activities detailed and documented in security press reports, the press and the briefings from victims of kidnap cases in Ondo State. These unfortunate incidents are traceable to the activities of some bad elements masquerading as headsmen. These felons have turned our forest reserves into hideouts for keeping victims of kidnapping, negotiating for ransom and carrying out other criminal activities." And he said, number one, all forest reserves in the state are to be vacated by headsmen within the next 7 days, with effect from today, Monday, 18th January 2021. Night grazing is banned with immediate effect because most farm destruction takes place at night. Movement of cattle within cities and highways is prohibited, and underage grazing of cattle is outlawed. Now, this were the things that the Ondo State Governor, Akeredolu, listed out. And of course, we had reactions from the presidency saying that according to the Constitution, the Ondo State Governor does not have the right to say all these things. And of course, there has been contributions from all over saying everybody has a right to stay wherever they want to. And this has caused a lot of controversy in Nigeria. So let's take a look at that fact now. The Ondo State Governor is telling all farmers, all headers rather, to vacate the premises of the forest reserves. I'll start with you, Emeka.
Yeah, the governor is the trustee, the chief trustee of all the lands in Ondo State.
Yeah.
He holds it in trust on behalf of the people of Ondo State, the good people of Ondo State. So the governor has a right. Of course, the governor signs C of O, certificate of occupancy. The governor also decides on excision of land. The governor makes those decisions. Now you can't just go and occupy a certain place, unilaterally, without getting the permission of the governor. Through maybe directly or through agents, maybe local government and all of that. Now, the governor didn't ask them, unlike the way the presidential spokesman Garba Shehu tried to twist it. He didn't ask Fulanis to leave Ondo State. He asked headers in forest reserves to leave because there were certain activities that were being done in those forest reserves that were against the security and well-being of the people of Ondo State. Had kidnappings, assassinations, and things like that. And now the governor also said, what would headsmen be doing in forest reserves? That he also banned underage grazing by little children. The governor's statement is very clear. But you see, in Nigeria, people like to boost popularity by speeding mischief. They take a clear statement. The government statement is on the internet.
Yeah.
They will take it and spin it for selfish and wicked and criminal purposes. And that's why you've seen the hoopla. You've seen the all of the noise. And I must give kudos to the Serkin Fulani of Lagos State, who is the chief, he is the head of Fulani chiefs in the Southwest. He came out to say that the governor was right. That the governor was, perfectly in order, to have issued that statement, to have issued that directive. Because those directives came from a meeting. There were stakeholders at the meeting. The governor didn't just wake up from his bed and start. There were stakeholders at a meeting. So at that meeting, they agreed that yes, the level of insecurity in the state had gone so high and something needed to be done about it. So what were they to do? They were to ask the headers to leave the forest reserves. They were also to say no night grazing, no grazing by underage persons. So, of course, with all of this, the Secretary Fulani of Lagos has advised the headers, better leave. You saw what happened in Oyo State yesterday, in Igongo, a small village in Oyo State. I mean, you see, when the state does not use its power to protect the people, you now have non-state actors coming in to fill the vacuum. Power should not exist in a vacuum. The state must exist for the good of it's in the constitution.
Yeah.
You see why government exists. Now, you've seen the Oyo State governor trying to play politics with the whole issue. But the central point is this: the security of the people, the security of the lives of the people. You cannot travel now on Ilesha-Akure Expressway without, trepidation. You'll be so afraid of being kidnapped or being killed or being robbed. These criminal incidents have been going on. Then you saw in the national newspaper today, that some headers went to get policemen from Alamala Barracks in Abeokuta to harass villagers who asked them to leave. What are we talking about? Are we not in a nation governed by laws? Why do people feel they can just take the laws into their hands? You can just go into any place. You've seen some prominent people in the north who came out to say the headers should remain in the forest reserves. The question I want to ask, can I come into your house? Can I come into your house and march into your bedroom, occupy it? Because I just feel it is in Nigeria, it's in the territory called Nigeria, so I can do what I like. There are laws. And if people will not abide by the laws, then definitely the law exists for the protection of society. It also exists for the punishment of wrongdoers, of criminals, of people who will not respect the sanctity of the law. So the governor was totally 100% in order. Let them vacate the forest reserves. They should vacate the forest reserve. They should get registered so that government can monitor their activities and government can ensure that anybody coming into Ondo State for legitimate business is well secured without any fear of being attacked, robbed, or killed. Simple.
All right, while we're still trying to enforce, of course, the security in the land, which Ondo State Governor, according to him, is rightfully doing, we also know that this also had a fallback in Oyo State, as he rightly mentioned, in Igongo, the local government area of Oyo State, where we know that a certain man, that's Chief Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho, actually mobilized supporters and told the Fulani headers to vacate that particular area, and this caused a lot of rancor in the state. Let's take a look at that clip and we'll be right back.
I want you to know that the battle continues. There is no going back. Please let your mind be at rest. We will put an end to series of intimidation and onslaught in our own land. The battle will be extended to other parts of the southwest.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum exclusive to Galaxy Television. We're still looking at the Ondo Oyo Forest Reserve conflict. And you saw that was Sunday Ademo, also known as Sunday Igboho, and he defied the directives of the Oyo State Governor, that Seyi Makinde, who said that the Fulani headers should still remain. But yesterday, he went out with his supporters. You saw about hundreds of them. I was really surprised. And they said no, that these Fulani headers must vacate the vicinity. And most of people will say that this statement by the Ondo State Governor and even this so-called man, Sunday Igboho, has caused, or rather is bringing rancor and disunity among members in the state. We also know that even the Seriki Fulani in Oyo State, in that particular Igongo, the house was also, yes, raised. And that has caused, rather, a call for disunity among the people. Let's hear from you now, Olusegun.
Thank you. The issue in Oyo State just came as a result of the fact that the president has been known to be nonchalant about security development in the country. Naturally, it gives the people who are saying they want to have a state police more edge, you know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of issues that would have been tackled in the state, you know, is now going to be a situation where they are going to be awaiting the president because he's the commander-in-chief. The security apparatus is centralized. So we are operating a federal system. There's what we call sovereign state. It's a federal system, a system of government that shares powers within its component unit, that is the state and the local government. Now, in this sense, federal system in mouth, but we are not practicing in reality. And the reason why you are seeing the challenges, you know, from one location to the other, that's on the aspect of that. Then on the issue of you've seen people coming out en masse to fight for themselves, it has to be. People can no longer sleep with their two eyes closed. Sunday Igboho is just trying to bring the whole agitation, the whole hidden agitation out for the president and the other Nigerians to see. People are no more, you know, sleeping with their two eyes again, especially in those areas you have mentioned in time, where my colleague has said, they talked about Elisha and all these roads.
Yeah.
Even Ibadan, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, there are issues of security.
Yes.
I'm telling you, there are places you can even drive to at night. Lagos is fairly okay, but every other place, you can't just take your cars out there. But the challenge has been that the state must take into consideration, you know, state police. Now, the Sunday Igboho person had been able to show that the people they can no more condone insecurity. Now, the president must take action because those that are being fingered are his people. The Fulani header, this is from Daura, from the Fulani clan. He should be able to show Nigerians. Recently, Obasanjo, you know, made mention of his experience when he was the president, you know, when they were fingering Ondo as People's Congress, and the action he took, you know, to indicate that he is detribalized, he's a one Nigerian. So the president is, you know, is almost on him to look at it from that aspect of nationalism, a true Nigerian who believes in one Nigeria, to show that he can use, you know, the power of the president to quell the security issues. On the one hand, now the comment of Sunday Igboho yesterday will trail a lot of controversies, because I will quote his word. He said, "Now that I have given them ultimatum, this is the time, you know, that they are now sending in soldiers." But before now, that the herdsmen are killing the people, people are shouting, robbing them, disallowing people to go to their farmland. Nobody sending soldiers. But because he gave them ultimatum, the federal might, you know, brought in the armed forces to come and do what now? So these are the justifications we are talking about, that the president must be able to show leadership, must be able to show that he's a nationalist. And whatever we do, I used to say it on this program, you know, it's about history. You know, today we are doing things that you think is good and is fair. Tomorrow it shall be history, because we shall discuss the past and we shall digest it in the present in order for us to look at it from the future. So all these things circled on the table of the president. But I keep on saying that the Amotekun things must be strengthened. They must be strengthened and they must be reorientated. They must be trained and retrained, because we need them in the bush. Now we are talking about forest reserve by the law.
Yeah.
Forest reserve is under the gazette of the federal government. Yes, it's correct. But where the presidential advisor Shehu Garba aired, I read the editorial on a Punch on this matter. Where he aired is the fact that we are operating a federal system, that the state can make any law for the good, and development of the state. Now there is continuous security breach in Ondo State.
All right.
Continuous. Recently, one of the first-class officers was killed.
Yes.
Only four before was killed. Nobody said anything. They buried him, and that ends it. So you are, from the way we see things, from the way things are going, for me, it shows that silence is always the order of the day when it comes to reported killing of any individual.
Okay.
And that has been the problem that made Nigerians now want to take laws into their hands.
I understand the fact of silence, but we also know the matter of conflict resolution. That's why institutions are put in place.
Yes.
Now, in a situation whereby I know that for Amotekun, for some time we've been hearing lots of not very nice news from Amotekun concerning extrajudicial killings, and even they came out and said, okay, they are being framed. Could it now be that you taking matters into your hands now could make, for example, now probably you're not the one causing so much rancor in the particular place or causing disruption, and someone is trying to frame you up? So wouldn't you see this as you blaming Fulani headers alone? What if people are disguising as them? Wouldn't you see that as a particular issue? Because by the time you do that now, you are now falsely accusing me.
Okay, now if we agree, if we say some people are coming to disguise, whether they disguise or not, what we are still talking about here, Rita, is about security. Who is supposed to take responsibility of managing the security of life of the people? If you remember recently, the SSS came with a report that there is going to be, a religious violence, that Nigerians should be wary, of what people might, bring from religious violence that can cause destruction in the country. Recently, there was a statement released by DSS. So, but I expect DSS to go further to see what they can do in terms of taming. Now, if you look at that report and what is happening today, you agree with me that the headers, has a lot of questions to answer. Yeah. The Yoruba people from history, if you study them, they accommodate very well. If you go and look at all the geopolitical zones, if you ask me, I'll tell you, I speak many languages. I'm telling you today that those that accommodate more are the Yoruba people. Now, if you can see a Yoruba man coming out in the way they are following Sunday Igboho, you will know that they are frustrated on their land. People are making life miserable for them, killing them, not allowing them to go to farm. So whether they are framing them up or not, it is onion on the security system to unravel what we have just said. That's number one. Number two, the issue of that you mentioned regarding whether what is the security doing or what are the people there doing. Yeah. The people would have been, according to what Igboho said, he said there are a lot of information that is fingering on the Fulani settlers, fingering them that they are the culpable ones making life miserable for the people here. Some of them are even saying that the killings that happened that involve one guy that is selling drugs in Lagos, that Egongon in Barapa, that the Fulanis are culpable, and that these people are the ones they have been fingering. Now, if everybody is mentioning you are the one, why not just come out, you Fulani people, show that you are not.
But they actually made a statement and said they're actually peaceful people.
They are not.
That's what they said. Let's hear from you now. Let's hear from you. They made a statement and said you're peaceful.
The fact of the matter is that it's not all Fulani that are criminally inclined.
Minded, yes.
Yes.
not all Fulani headers are criminally inclined. But you see, within a large group, you're bound to have, it's not unlikely that you have, people who see themselves as a law unto themselves. So, what do you expect from the government? The government will say, no, it cannot be allowed to operate. This cannot be allowed to happen within our jurisdiction, which is what the governor of Ondo State has courageously done. Yes. He should be commended. Malam Garba Shehu, if initiating that statement, I think whoever authorized that statement didn't realize he was actually talking to an elected governor. A governor who received the mandate of the people at an election, freely given. The governor is not an appointee of the federal government. The governor is not a servant of the federal government. He's actually heading a subnational unit of the federation called Nigeria. So, if we are practicing true federalism, and we say the governor is the chief security officer of the state, is he supposed to sit idly by a first-class traditional ruler has been killed, a top businesswoman has been killed, so many people have been killed? I've met people who narrated nasty experiences in the hands of
kidnappers.
And they mentioned that it was Fulani herdsmen. You see, let us stop trying to quote. Let's stop trying to quote. The unfortunate thing was that a prominent politician, when he went to visit a top, a nationalist at the other state whose daughter was killed, he was saying, where are the cows? But people now came to him. Now, do you expect a criminal to intentionally leave, evidence of crime at the scene? Now, what we need to do is this: find out. Definitely, even the umbrella groups of these headers have, has come out to say, yes, we know we have errant members. We know we have criminally minded members. And that the sad thing is that they themselves also come under attacks from these people. That Nigerians are saying, okay, Fulani has been Fulani, but that they themselves also come under attacks from...
Let me ask you a question, Aimeka. Now, we all want to happen. We saw what Igboho did now. Don't you think that this will make even the Fulani headers get angry and then we're bringing war upon ourselves?
Let me tell you something. You see, we cannot allow criminals to dictate how the Nigerian nation exists. We should never pamper crime. We should never pamper criminals. We should never acquiesce with criminality. These are the things affecting this nation. These are the things drawing us back. Why? Okay, this person is, where we speak the same language, and so I'll protect him. Meanwhile, this is somebody who has been accused of a crime. If he's innocent, the law courts are there. They didn't prove his innocence in the courts. Why do you come and bring in tribalism? Because you want to cover a crime. Do you realize that an injustice to one is an injustice to all, and that what you are doing is that you are affronting on the laws of the nation, and what still, you are threatening the existence of the society. Are
you aware that the Seriki Fulani's house in Ibarapa was actually raised down? That's why I'm asking that won't this call for war? Because they were peaceful.
There is no need to call for war. I said something in my opening remarks. I said when the state goes to sleep on its duty, the non-state actors come in to fill the vacuum. Why should the state sleep on its duties? I want to ask the governor of your state, what effort have you made to actually bring the stakeholders in this area to the negotiating table? How far have you gone? You saw what happened in Ebonyi State late last year, when news went out that Fulani herdsmen had been ordered to leave Ebonyi State. The governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, he went out, he met with different groups, and later came out to say no, it was not true. But why can't the governor just wring his hands and say, that the police should go and arrest Sunday? You sat there The man gave an ultimatum over a period of time. I expected that the governor should have visited the place, called the leaders of the Fulani Elders, called the Sodibo, called other community leaders, and they had a meeting and let people say, okay, see, look at, and then you take decisive action. You don't just wait until things get out of hand. There isn't any need for houses to be built. The state has a commissioner of police. There's a DPO in the area.
That's why I'm asking. I understand the position you're giving, but is the action now justified? I mean, you're an evil man. What if some group of evil men they actually causing havoc now in Lagos State, and they were asked to leave the particular vicinity?
Let me add to.
Now, if you said something, causing, and they were actually causing havoc, you see, the state should never pamper criminals. That's what I said.
Okay.
If some people deliberately decide to engage in crime, in criminality, you don't expect the state to allow them to continue. They will. You've heard commissioners of police when they hold their inaugural press briefings. What do they say? That we are advising all criminals in this state to vacate, to leave the state.
Yeah.
Why don't you expect the commissioner of police to say, okay, all criminals are welcome to work, you know, to do what they like?
He mentioned criminals, but it wasn't particular about state or region. You know, we have diverse people. Okay, let's hear from Olusegun quick, so we can go on.
I wanted to say that the governor is not pampering criminals in the state. If you recall, the governor Seyi Makinde was the one that initiated the Amotekun institution in Southwest regional before other states, you know, begin to buy in. You see, what exactly is happening is that the governor is just trying to be very careful.
Thank you.
The governor knows that there is challenges of security in the state. He has put into consideration his party status in the state. One, he has put into consideration the fact that there is a law that gives the police and other paramilitary agencies, you know, to manage the security and life or property of the people. It is not, there is no law that gives Sunday Igboho any right to come and say he wants to fight for the people. So the governor, you would not expect the governor to come out and say he's supporting Sunday Igboho. Sunday Igboho is just an individual like any other person. The law enforcement agents are there. So he must have to be very careful in the way he's handling the whole thing. Now, that's on one hand. If you watch Sunday Igboho, he did not, you know, there was no any issue of he being allegedly killed anybody. But what I saw in what he did is just to create an awareness to those who are saddled with the responsibility of managing security. We still, if we are narrowing down the discussion, we should be able to look at the challenges of security as an institution in Nigeria. It is not for the governor is just the chief security officer in mouth. You have seen the former Zamfara governor who said is today is resigning as the chief security officer. He said that's the former governor of Zamfara. He knew that he is just being a governor, and that he's being called, the constitution has given the word, he being the chief security, by word, but by action. The CP takes the directive from the IG. So how do you expect a governor who is from the opposition, you know, to say he wants to support somebody who is not? You can even imagine what happened in Ondo State, where the governor who is from their party gives directive that they should leave the foreign reserve. Now, let us analyze the foreign reserve. The foreign reserve, it belongs to federal government.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. I'm a land person. Let me just land. Every forest reserve and every forest in Calabar, in anywhere that is being delineated, it is owned by federal government.
So what's it? Now, Ministry of Forestry in every state.
Hold on, sir. But the fact the federal government, according to Land Use Act, has the right to acquire any land for the grand purpose of the economic development of Nigeria. I have a book that I authored. I will give you a copy. I wrote on land. I'm a major in land. So, but the government can come today. That was why the president initially introduced Ruga settlement. That people refused. Yes, the law gives the power to government to acquire land, but it must be legitimately in the interest of the people.
Can we narrow this thing down?
If in the If it becomes a self-centered thing, nobody would accept. And that is the reason why it happens between the proposed Ruga settlement and the people of the Nigerian inhabitants. They say they are not going to take it. And you can see that the thing did not fly. There's nowhere you expect that kind of thing to fly. So the government wanted to use that power of forest reserve to say that they are issuing a statement. But the fact of the matter is that the land belongs to the people. And for you to acquire that land, it must be for economic use of the people. Now, in the event there is a conflict between those parties, the people's power will prevail.
Quickly.
Let me tell you. When Fayose was governor of Ekiti State,
yes,
Fayose came out clearly and said no open grazing, and he took action on it. Now you are telling me that the forest exists for the economic sustenance of the people. Now, are the forests supposed to be places where you kidnap people and go and keep them?
Thank you very much.
Is it that we don't have records of people who have been kidnapped and kept in the forest?
Where are the security agencies?
Let me answer that question. Let me quickly answer that question.
Let me tell you something. You see, all over the nation,
yes,
there is this serious threat of insecurity.
That is an discussion on its own.
You don't expect the governors
to get my point.
Alright, okay, Emeka, you know what?
Lives are being lost.
We're still discussing the issue of the Ondo forest reserve conflict. Please, Olusegun, please hold on. Please, Olusegun, we'll take. Alright, so welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum exclusive to Galaxy Television. Earlier on, we were discussing the Ondo Forest Reserve conflict, and of course, it has brought lots of rancor in the news space. Of course, with the actions of a certain man, Sunday Igboho, who actually went around yesterday and gathered supporters to chase the Fulani headsmen away from the Barakpalu government area in Igongon, Oyo State. And according to analysts, we've had opposing and I don't think anybody has supported the actions there, but we're still looking at the issue there of chasing them out and of course bringing disunity in the country. Unfortunately, due to time, we'll take another issue which is still linking to that issue, and that's the issue of restructuring, of which for some time now, I think last year and even recently, we've been having recurrent issues, lots of people talking about the issue of restructuring. We have the Southwest leaders in the person of Payo Adebanjo. We also had the Ohanese President General talking about restructuring. We had the Arewa Consultative Forum talking about restructuring, saying restructuring is the way to go. We talk about security, people say restructuring is the way to go. But is restructuring the way forward to help the nation stand afloat at this point in time? Well, joining us on the program at this point in time now is Dr. Solomon, of course. Dr. Solomon, yes, that's the president of the Ohanese Ndigbo Lagos chapter. Thank you very much for joining us on the program at this time. All right, thank you for joining us on the program at this time. Now, we've heard of lots of people now. I talked about the Southwest, the Southeast, and of course the Arewa Consultative Forum calling for restructuring. You see what has happened so far. You see what happened in Igboho, that's in Gongo, in Igbarakpalu government area of Oyo State. Do you feel that restructuring will help the country at this point in time? Can you hear me?
I don't think so.
All right, we seem to be having technical issues there. Of course, we'll still get back to him. Is the president for the Ohanese Ndigbo Lagos State chapter, and wanted their view on the issue of restructuring. Now, I'll go over to you now, Emeka Madina, because you were so bent then on the fact that criminal elements must go out. Do you feel restructuring is the way for Nigeria? Don't you think it will bring more troubles? What about the strength in unity and diversity?
You see, if you take note, I didn't say, if you take notice, I didn't say people from other ethnic groups should be. I said criminal elements.
Yes, you said
and
so.
let me tell you where the criminal elements belong to. The prison. That's why prisons are built. So, restructuring to the issue now is direly needed in this country. We need to restructure. A lot of things are the way they are because they're in the wrong hands. They're in the wrong situation. They're being managed in the wrong ways. Yes, with sincerity of purpose, but you see, you cannot put nothing on nothing and expect something. Look at the issue of security. You have different layers of security, but you expect the Inspector General of Police to sit in Abuja and give directives for security to a very remote, to a DPO in a very remote area of the country. Now, a friend of mine once asked a question. He said, "You have Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Do you have federal farmers?" Do you have federal farmers? That farmers are actually controlled by the state government. But you see the situation where the federal government keeps intervening in things that should be under the purview of the state and the local government. I agree that people say, oh, that the Nigerian politicians lack the majority and to handle statecraft, and so that if, for instance, you have state police, they will use it to oppress the people. Oh, there's so much corruption in the land. So if if you review the revenue allocation formula and reduce the allocation of the federal government and give more to the states, that it will not augur well for the country because politicians will steal money. You see, all these things to me are postulations.
Yeah.
But we must address the problem, which is that the system we're operating right now is not working. We must practice fiscal federalism. We must practice federalism in all ramifications. We must give governors, local government chairmen. We must get them to be closer to the people. Abuja cannot be dictating in everything. We've seen what happened with the COVID-19 response, for instance. Do you understand? You saw the role that the Lagos State government played. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu played. He was so exemplary. Even the federal government commended him. You saw the role played by state government, and other state governments now follow that example. And you see, we're able to at least put COVID-19 under check to a reasonable extent. So that's what we're talking about. Talking about so many areas, certain things that should be given to the government so that states can compete. We need to stop this feeding bottle federalism where at the end of every month, commissioners of finance gather in Abuja to receive checks for their states. Let these things, you see, it's not even, okay, if you look at right now, the way the revenue allocation is constituted. You get money in foreign currency, in dollars, and then you give it to states in naira. You're shortchanging them. So if states have to do a transaction, for instance, in foreign currency, they will now go back again to start looking for foreign currency. I think we need to put an end to some of these things. There are a lot of issues under restructuring, but let us start with the basic steps. The federal government, in starting community policing, has tacitly agreed that actually we need to restructure the federation. It has tacitly agreed that you need to get security closer to the people. You also need to involve the people. Now that's why you see the Southwest talking about Amotekun. Yeah. Because, of course, yes, we can accuse Amotekun of certain, extrajudicial actions, which I believe will be checked, But you see, go to the areas where Amotekun has been operating and ask the people. Don't listen to what paid propagandists and politicians. Go to those places and ask the people, what has the effect of Amotekun been since he came in? OPC, all these groups, what has been their effect? Now, what we need to do is, let us give room, let's give space, so that the nation can breathe. We cannot continue with this unitary system which was introduced by Mago Irunsi. We cannot continue. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. We can't continue with it. Let us try to restructure, at least devolve powers to the units. And then, of course, in constitutional amendment, which the National Assembly has said they will prioritize, they should look at very critical issues affecting the nation. So it's not that people will be expecting, let the president, we're expecting the president to talk, we're expecting the president to speak, and the governor is there. He has not said anything. The local government chairman is there. Go to many local governments. All they do is at the end of the month, they just gather, take salaries, share whatever.
But don't you think the problem is actually individual and not even based on constitution? Because as a local government chairman, you still have powers within your own capacity. Have they been doing anything even besides the constitution?
If we have a working system, if we have a working system, like I said earlier, if we have a working system that penalizes, that punishes infractions, people will sit up.
Let's hear from Olusegun now. Do you believe in this?
Yes, you see, restructure, the word restructure is a general word.
Yeah.
And there are individuals, you know, in the polity and in the politics, you know, that are coming up with different understanding of theirs in terms of what they want restructuring to look like.
Yeah.
For example, 2 days ago, Daily Trust Dialogue, former President Jonathan said that what Nigeria needs is even beyond restructuring. Ohaneze is on his own. The former president of Ohaneze, Ndigbo, was there. He said that true federalism is his own understanding of restructuring. Jonathan went ahead to say that one of the challenges we are having is nepotism, cynicism, and every other thing that is killing the system to work. And on my own, I want to say that I agree with the former president. Nepotism and many other things is killing this nation. Now, Tinubu, let me quote Tinubu initially. He has said, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the former governor. He said that we should go to 1968 regional 1963 regional constitution that gives, you know, responsibilities to every region. I want to align myself with that understanding from the former governor, that we should be able to manage our resources, transcend beyond that, talked about managing our security, because the inhabitants knows themselves. So once you have somebody from the inhabitants in the security sector, he knows the terrain, he should be able to manage what exactly is existing on that land. So that system of his own understanding of regionalism, I would take, coupled with the fact that even with that, we are going to still have ourselves in diversity. So nepotism must be eradicated. We have that entrenching everywhere in every sector of this country. They want to know where you come from. A religious problem. Yeah. You want to know, is he a Muslim? Is he a Christian? Or is he from
what part of
Christianity? So all those things are factors that must be considered. Are you getting my point? So security on its own will be able to be managed within the regional setting. So I agree with the former governor that says that we should go to 1963 regional constitution and adopt it so that we can be able to have, you know, our resources being managed by all regional settings that makes up this country.
Well, while we're still trying to promote unity, of course, in all parts of the country, well, the federal government and, of course, the Senior Special Assistant and Media Publicity, President Garba Shehu, said that, of course, they have to go to the National Assembly if actually they're very serious about the issue of restructuring the country. So we'll see how that pans out.